The voice of sharing, Durian Heat.
Hi, this is your host Arlene at Monday Morning Matters, where we discuss perspectives from Southeast Asia. Today we're going to talk about the topic, is Malaysia too clingy on cheap labours, where we discuss on the market demand and rights of foreign workers. Malaysia is no stranger to foreign labours. Ever since we embarked on the economic path towards industrialization, Malaysia has been opening its doors on an influx of foreign workers. Majority of them are unskilled workers from poor neighbouring countries. They usually would occupy 3D jobs that Malaysians won't do. Jobs that are dirty, dangerous and demanding. Moreover, due to weak employment law and a system that lacks proper protection towards workers, they are also risk being abused by their employers and being looked down by locals. I will be speaking to Dr. Ong Kian Ming, a member of the Malaysian opposition party, Democratic Action Party, or short for DAP, and a member of parliament for Serdang. He has been vocal against numerous government policies that are seen as detrimental to the nation and society. He will be sharing with me that there are diverse reasons for foreigners ended up as undocumented migrant workers in Malaysia and why the current efforts by the government is not enough. You are now listening to Monday Morning Matters.
Monday Morning Matters.
Perspectives from Southeast Asia.
Do you think Malaysian is too dependent on cheap labor ever since we started industrialize our country?
I think that we, fortunately or unfortunately, we industrialize and trying to grow our economy at a time when the forces of globalization are much more powerful compared to before. What I mean by that is that we have a much larger flow of migrant labor now, perhaps compared to maybe 30 years ago. And I think because of this, many industries in Malaysia are taking the shortcut of relying on foreign labor and being dependent on foreign labor, as opposed to other more longer term and perhaps more difficult ways of trying to increase productivity. So to answer your question, yes, we are overly dependent on foreign labor.
But with the current market, especially with our economy that is not doing that well, do you think we can get out of that vicious cycle?
No, actually, this is the best time for us to actually decrease dependency on foreign workers, because as the economy is slowing, the demand for foreign workers would decrease. Companies that are facing difficulty, financial difficulty, some of them may close, and then those who continue to survive, they are the ones that needs to be forced to take the path towards being more productive and being moving up the value chain so that we can depend less on foreign workers moving on.
Do you believe that the entire Malaysian economy should prioritize Malaysian first?
I'm not sure whether there's a false choice there that you presented. Any country in the world, any country that has a relatively sophisticated economy needs foreign workers. And I think when we think about foreign workers, we focus mainly on the lower end scale of the foreign workers. People working in the construction sector as manual labor in the plantation industries and whatnot. But we also have to remember that there are also foreign workers who are working in the higher skill areas. People in IT, in finance, in consulting, in engineering. So if let's say Malaysia does not have the same kind of expertise at the higher level, I think this is one area where we can utilize high-skilled foreign workers to come in and perhaps use this as a way to reverse some of the brain drain that has happened in Malaysia. So we should not think about a situation whereby, okay, we only want Malaysians to work in Malaysia. I think there is room for foreign workers to come in. And I would also say that there is room for foreign workers to come in even at the low end of low low end of the economic spectrum in terms of some of the more manual labor industries that we talked about. But there needs to be some level of control. And I think that there needs to be some assessment in terms of whether we have too many foreign workers now in these sectors, which I think the answer is yes. And to try to find some ways of gradually reducing the number of foreign workers at the low end, for some of the reasons I talked about earlier. Giving back Malaysians some jobs, forcing employers to move up the value chain and to increase their productivity.
And with that, Tenaga Nita also mentioned that foreign workers are risk being exploited and abused. Do you think another problem that we are facing right now is the fact that we do not have a strong employment law to protect workers?
Yes, I would agree with Tenaga Nita's assessment, and I think they are mostly focusing on those at the bottom end of the wage spectrum. We're not talking about expats here who are abused by their employers. Even if, let's say, some of them feel that way. But for the low-end workers, I think they are facing many problems. And I think one of the main reasons why this is the case is because, we have very poor protection for workers in general. And I would say to the point of having almost non-existent protection for foreign workers. So, for example, foreign workers are not allowed to form unions in this country. They are not allowed to join unions in this country. They're not protected under many of the existing laws in this country that give protections to Malaysians. And I think because of these reasons, the chances of abuse is much higher. And also, let me just give you, a couple of manifestations of this. Foreign workers, when they come into the country, many employers want to hold their passport. The reason behind this is because the employers have spent a lot of money in terms of processing fees and paying the foreign workers levy to bring these foreign workers inside. So they don't want these foreign workers to run away. And because of that, they hold their passports. And that is a way in which I think some of the rights of the foreign workers are abused. They also work extremely hard. There's no working hour limit that can be imposed by the government for these employers. So let's say, okay, you can only work these foreign workers 12 hours a day maximum. There's no such restrictions. And then, of course, they are housed in many, difficult conditions. Many of them, living 20 in a small condo or a small, low-cost apartment somewhere. So there are many examples of how these abuses happen. And I'm not even talking about the maid abuse, which has, I think, received more attention and more sort of like scrutiny.
But why aren't we doing more to strengthen the employment law?
Well, those who are employing the foreign workers definitely don't want it, because it would mean that their flexibility in being able to work these foreign workers, sometimes I think at ludicrous hours, would be impeded. And they would say that affects their profitability and whatnot. But that I think is a fairly weak excuse, and I think we also have pretty poor enforcement in Malaysia as well. So the incentives for the current employers, including those who employ maids, for example, to give more rights to these workers, I think are rather limited. But I would say that things may change as a result of Malaysia signing the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. So one of the conditions under the TPPA is that at least for those trade-related industries, not so for the maids, but for those foreign workers in the manufacturing sector, in the plantation sector, would be given more rights. They would be allowed to join and form unions, and I think. And
this include the foreign workers, right?
Yes, this will include the foreign workers, but only in those export-oriented industries, not for domestic, non-tradable or non-trade-related occupations. So, so I think this may actually be, somewhat of a positive in terms of increasing the rights of the foreign workers in this country.
On the other hand, on government to government, are countries that supply all these foreign workers, do they also demand more from the Malaysian government to protect its citizens? Yeah,
I think all this depends on political pressure from the sending country. So, for example, in the case of Indonesia, because of a lot of these maid abuses stories that were coming out and that were being reported both in Malaysian press as well as in Indonesian press. There was domestic political pressure being put on the Indonesian government to ensure that their citizens abroad were being protected properly. If let's say there's no political pressure within Bangladesh to ask for more protection for their workers abroad, then I think the chances of, let's say, Bangladeshi workers being given proper protection in Malaysia would not be that great. That's why external pressures such as whatever Malaysia has to do in order to follow the ILO provisions, the International Labour Organization provisions under the TPP, I think that would be something important for us to monitor.
Mm-hmm. This is the end of the second segment. We will continue with the third segment of the interview.
Monday Morning Matters.
Perspectives
From Southeast Asia.
For more interviews by Durian ASEAN, please tune in to our website at durianasian.com. If you are on the go, you can always download our TuneIn app on your mobile. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels at Durian ASEAN and Durian ASEAN TV. Don't forget to follow us on our Facebook page, Twitter and Instagram. We always welcome feedback from our listeners. Stay tuned with Monday Morning Matters on Monday, same time at 10 to 11 a.m. on GMT Plus 8. Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.
You're now listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.